Despite difficulties, the Ukrainian forces keep advancing in Kursk Oblast in Russia. They have created an encirclement to the northeast and are working to encircle the southwest as well, where the bridges over the river have been dropped and the pontoon bridges are currently being attacked and destroyed. We'll talk about this and the other developments in the Kursk offensive in this situational picture about Ukraine's Kursk offensive. Hello and welcome. We'll start off with the different maps. This is Petrenko's map, pro-Ukrainian mill blogger, showing the recent gains he is confirming at this point. This is Ryba's map, again showing Ukrainian activities at various parts of the front line. And we have here the current map from the Ukrainian General Staff. This is what they claim they currently control. We'll start off with a breakthrough at Tekino. This is confirmed by the diary of a paratrooper, by a Russian mill blogger, confirming that the Ukrainians have broken through at this point here. Further details as of now are not known, but it would do what we would expect, that the Ukrainians want to reach the river here and take over everything south of it, and not just attack from the west but also from the south. So this is the first step to this, if we believe the Russian mill bloggers. Ukrainians are also already attacking the different pontoon bridges. We see here the FPV drones attacking. This is a truck carrying a pontoon bridge and it's closing in on it. Let me just zoom it forward. And it's hitting it. And here we see another one where the bridge is being prepared and a second drone is striking the truck here as well. Those two bridges, those two attacks were happening in the pontoon bridge that was that is being built over the same river. And the interesting part is that now this here on the 18th and on the 19th it is gone, but we have smoke here. But the second attack we just saw was actually down here. So the Russians tried to build a second crossing here in the region as well. You can see that the coloring changes at this point. Those are the two pieces that we see in the previous video where the Ukrainians struck this. Here you can see it. So they were preparing it to move it over to allow them crossing, and this one was attacked, and for now at least this pontoon bridge is in trouble and the Russians are kept on their edge here, and their lines of communications are being attacked. The number of Russian troops down here is unknown. There are some rumors of 3,000. I have not seen a solid confirmation. The number sounds a tiny bit high. I would believe immediately 2,000 men, but this is mostly guesswork, so we'll have to see. The interesting part here, just in case you forgot, there were 3 bridges here at these points, and the Ukrainian armed forces dropped all of them. The Russians have built pontoon bridges here and here. And we know that one here is already being destroyed. A second one was attacked while it's being built. I have no information about the eastern one. At least here we do not see a confirmation of a change yet. Then we have a video where Ukrainian forces are being attacked by precision artillery, probably, or bombs. Different things are being said about this. So those are 3 full hits on them. I'm not showing you this for the technical details, even though it might be interesting to see the precision of this strike. I checked it, and when we look at the location here of the road, then this should be at this point here. This should be exactly here. So you see that small road here. This should be this one. So they're driving down here, showing that they have presence in this area, meaning that the Ukrainian control, while it cannot be confirmed, we know that the Ukrainians are operating in this area here already, directly at the outskirts of Korenevo. I guess, I don't know if this is a town and this is a city, but they are definitely operating in the eastern part, east of the river, even though they are coming from the north. So they were probably in the northern part as well in this regard. So we see them advancing in this direction, but that's not all. We also have a fresh geolocation here where they have been in Vishnevka. In Vishnevka, here they are closing down the lines of communication to Korenevo from the pocket they are intending to build here. Vishnevka is here, so the Ukrainians are now here as well. in this area, and making it difficult for the Russians to communicate on the eastern side of the same river at this point. Then we have further informations. The Ukrainians have had more success to the east. Here we have Riba, Russian mill blogger, confirming north of Ruskoye Porechnoye. They talk that the Ukrainians are north of Ruskoye Perechnoye. This is here. So north of it, Riba, the Russian mill bloggers confirm Ukrainian presence north of it, and this is being confirmed on a different account. Here we have Russian mill bloggers again saying that the Ukrainians advanced here. We have it here on the map. This is Rushkoye Pechnoye, and they have advanced from the east and cut the line of communication to the town of Mala Lokna. And here, in his own words, before that, he bypassed our positions between the village and Ruskoye Porechny, cutting off the road between them, and thus took parts of the 18th Motorized Rifle Division into operational encirclement. Now, this does not mean that it's a whole division. This is likely just tens of people, maybe 100 or maybe or two. And this does not mean that the Ukrainians will be able to neutralize them, to take them prisoners, or to destroy the concentration there. But it shows that their advances along the flanks, while costly at times, is also showing successes. And in this regard, they have taken a number of Russian troops into encirclement in the region here. Then we have the further to the south, we have another confirmation. Now here again, Riba saying that the Ukrainians were attacking in the direction of Ruskaya Konopelka, and Ruskaya Konopelka is here in the area down here. It's here right east of Sucha. Here is Ruskaya Konopelka. They were attacking in this, and we see the deep state map also showing that it's contested, so they were coming close. They were being attacked by the Russians, but with them advancing in this direction here, with us having lately had the confirmations by the Russian that the town here is taken and that the area north of it is taken, it seems very likely that the town of Agronom is likely taken, or almost certainly taken, as well as probably the town here to the south as well. Kolmakov should also be taken. So we see the Ukrainians advancing somewhat in the eastern direction here to the west as well. They still keep advancing. It's a bigger struggle now. First videos and pictures, or over the last days, more and more pictures appear of Ukrainian losses as well. Not much of a surprise. The Russians get better organized by the day, and the Ukrainian attempts to break through the front line to bypass strong points and go into their rear might work at times, but at times it also doesn't work. But at least as of now, they are still advancing in various directions. We see them advancing in the direction of northwest, in the west, in the northeast, and towards the east as well. In all directions, they are still expanding their area of control at this very moment. The Syrski, the Ukrainian commander-in-chief, said that by now they are controlling 1,263 square kilometers and 93 settlements. This is what the Ukrainian General Staff says. I have no way of exactly confirming it, but the numbers I've seen from open source maps, etc., is definitely not far off from this. And Russia is now creating the groups for Berdyansk, Kursk, and Belgorod. So what they are doing is they're creating army commands, basically, for the three oblasts. This is a reaction to the confusion we had over the first few days, where it was called a anti-terrorist operation, which necessarily doesn't mean military control. Different parts of units were thrown together, conscripts with border guards, with regular armed forces, with Rosgvardia, and by creating commands, they should be able to prevent Ukrainian attacks, or at least to limit their success over the next in the future. Then there's the rumor that Putin supposedly has given the order to recapture the area until October 1st. I have not seen a solid source for this yet, while it might be possible. And we heard a lot of things like this about the capture of Bakhmut, about the capture of Chasiv Yar, etc. in the past. So while it's possible, there is no proof of it. If the Ukrainians want to stay there, it's probably going to not be possible to achieve this until October 1st. Even from Russian mill bloggers, they are saying the very least we are going to need to push them out is 25,000 men. And first mill bloggers are saying with the Rasputitsa coming, the mud season, we probably won't be able to push them out completely if they fight for it until the end of the year or until next year. So if Ukraine wants to stay, they're going to stay for several more months. And as said, right now they are in the process of forcing either a turning maneuver here in this area, because the Russians only have pontoon bridges to the north, or they will create an encirclement in this area. They are right now pushing at it while cutting the lines of communications towards the north. Then we have Zelensky saying that the operation was not being told to the allies, to the allied nations. It was kept secret in regards to them. We have to say this was probably a smart move, because in the past, a lot of things that were talked in private, that were said in private, was then leaked by officials to the New York Times or the Washington Post anonymously. And this time it didn't leak, so Ukraine managed to achieve a full operational surprise. And he admits himself the most likely result that was to be expected from this. We are witnessing a significant ideological shift. The naive, illusionary concept of so-called red lines regarding Russia, which dominated the assessment of the war by some partners, has crumbled apart these days somewhere near Sucha. When Ukrainian defenders act bravely and when an operation is well prepared, Russia has no options left. This was one of the guesses at the beginning of this operation, that Ukraine wants to show the Western nations that Russia is not going to push the button really fast, hoping that this will allow them to use the Western weapon more deliberately inside of Russia, especially Storm Shadow, Scalp, and ATACMS, and we'll have to see how much it is going to be successful. But we see that even crossing the border, even occupying Russian territory, did not lead to an escalation in a way that the Western nations should be too much afraid of. Even Putin hasn't announced additional nuclear threats that would or should frighten us in any serious way. And finally, we have some picture of something different. We see Ukrainian multiple launch rocket systems here in operation in the Kursk region. Those are 80 millimeter systems that are mounted on pickup trucks. A light system where they can use Western missiles as well as from the Eastern system. Obviously highly mobile, limited firepower at the same time, but another sign of how the development of weapons is being adjusted to the actual needs, as obviously being able to buy an off-the-shelf pickup is a much easier way to mount an artillery system than having to build a truck especially for it. But that was already it from me for today. Not that crazy much to say, despite the fact that the Russians themselves say we have units encircled in the northeast. We'll obviously keep an eye on it in the future, and if you don't want to miss that, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, and leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think about the current situation, and what do you think the Ukrainian operational goal of that offensive is? If you want to support the channel, you can do so by the means in the description, but that's it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back.